Oh, we should be live. Hopefully, maybe, probably. Yeah, we should be live. I decided that I was gonna start doing the Reflection podcast. I decided that I'm gonna start doing that stuff. I'm just gonna do it live because I kind of like the idea of doing it live and then posting it because it makes it a lot easier on me because I can just record this and then throw it in. Just kind of like throw it in there. Makes it a lot easier. So literally all I gotta do is streaming. Tonight's episode, or whatever you want to call it, of a podcast is like what got me into the hobbies that I do now, which is primarily technology. I mean, gaming. I've always been into gaming, and I already did an episode on that, so you guys kind of know why I like gaming. But I think we can focus on technology for this episode. Sorry if I sound a bit tired. It's because I am. You can see it's literally almost 11. I don't really got any fun background for y'all. You guys just get to look at my background. I'll have to figure out a fun thing to have in the background. Maybe just literally record me with like the mic or something. But for now, you guys get this. I think what mainly started it. I mean, I always loved Legos. I always loved building random crap with Legos, and I remember I loved the idea of just building like specific, like really specific things. Like I'd always kind of build like really random specific things, and I would eventually start building like random contraptions and stuff out of Lego. Nothing really in particular or anything that I can really remember anymore, but yeah, I used to just build kind of like random like machines and stuff. Nothing crazy. I mean, I still kind of sucked at making Lego builds, but like for me, I was making some like pretty fun stuff. And then I remember by the way, I'm not really going to be responding to any chat here. Like, I'm recording this live because I find that it's easier to do it live. But I'm still going to kind of treat this like a video. So, like, I'll be looking at chat and, like, I'll acknowledge you. But I'm here to record the podcast. Unless it's, like, questions about the relevant topic, then I'd be willing to answer those. But, yeah, I remember around the end of 2019... my uncle gave us an old laptop, and it took a little bit, but eventually they let me have it. I mean, I kind of just like really wanted it, because I like really wanted a computer. This was 2020 by the time that I was allowed to start using the computer. I got the computer in like September 2020. I had gotten a tablet that last Christmas, so I was like fresh to the internet, so I hadn't done a lot of stuff on there yet. And I was like, man, there's some really fun YouTubers out here. Like, I'd always been into gaming stuff, but I had also been starting to kind of get other stuff like Linus Tech Tips and stuff. For the longest time, I was like a D1 Linus Tech Tips addict, bro. I still watch them, of course, even though they've done many things over the years that makes you question if you really want to be subscribed to them. But somehow they're still here. But yeah, I got that, and I grinded the crap out of that thing. Because around that time, Among Us came out, and of course, Among Us was actually like, it was okay to like Among Us at the time. Everyone liked it. I think literally my profile picture in school was like a black or orange Among Us figure, because those were like my two main colors at the time that I would always run. And, you know, I loved that. And I was like, for Christmas, I really wanted like an actual computer, like something that I could like really play games on. Because I had also downloaded a game that was on the fall sale called Kerbal Space Program. Now you probably know that it's where my original YouTube channel came from, and it's the game on Steam that I have the most hours into. Now it might not stay that way for long because I don't play it as much anymore. I do still play it from time to time, but yeah, it's not. I don't grind it like as much anymore, and I play games like BeamNG and Brick Rigs like all the time. Like I put nearly 6 to 7 hours into BeamNG almost every day. So that doesn't tell you what kind of person I am at this point. I don't know what will. So I definitely won't stay that way for long, but for now it still has BeamNG by a solid 1,000 hours. But yeah, then I got an actual computer for Christmas, and I was so happy. Like I could actually play Kerbal Space Program. I could play the newest version of Kerbal Space Program at more than like 15 FPS. So I was happy. And I didn't know a lot about the parts in my computer, but I think that was one of my biggest like things that I really liked, is that I really wanted to just start to like figure out how my computer worked and figure out how all that kind of stuff like worked. So I remember around that time I decided to take apart my old laptop. I like completely disassembled it and just started like doing random stuff to it, just kind of like figuring out how it worked, how I could make it work and all that stuff. So I did like some really dumb goofy stuff to it. And ironically, that laptop still works today, albeit it's been built into a Xbox 360 chassis, as I made like an Xbox PC. It's still very rough, it's not that great, but like it does work, and for the most part I can close most of the case. And you know, there's some like rough stuff, but that's really it. Like it's still pretty good. But yeah, I just started messing around with like random stuff. And now, of course, yeah, I broke a lot of stuff in the process. Many parts were broken. We lost many things along the way. We lost 2 motherboards in my computer along the way. Now, one of the big parts is that my PC, when I first got it, it was not very great. Like, it's running like an i7 3770, a GT 1030, like, I think I was running 12 gigs of RAM, if that makes any sense. I had a 250 gig SSD, and that was it for storage. And, like, the case was alright at the time, when not a lot of stuff drew power. But, yeah, I was kind of there for that. And then, you know, go through 2 motherboards. I got some more DDR3 somehow, and I threw that in my case just to upgrade stuff. You know, like I was watching like people fix like computers and stuff, so like I was kind of starting to get the hang of stuff. Like I got taught some pretty simple stuff from my uncle, so like I was able to like open my computer and do very basic stuff. And I was starting to really like this stuff. Like I liked how involved you had to be. I liked how in depth it was and how careful you had to be. Albeit I'm not a careful person. Like I break stuff so easily. But, you know, this stuff kind of forces me to at least try to, you know, actually, like, lock in and be careful. And then, I don't know. Oh, I'd say about end of 6th grade, middle of 6th grade, I started to, like, really get in on, like, collecting my games and not just giving them all away. So, like, I actually started to like, keeping my games around. I'd only get rid of games that, like, I knew I was never going to play again, and I just really didn't care about seeing them. Or if they had value. I'd get rid of them if they had, like, value. So, and then around that time, I believe it's still on the channel, I bought an Xbox 360. It was the first time I ever bought a console for myself. And I was so happy. I mean, like, you could probably tell in the video, like, I was so happy when I got that thing. So all of that happens. I get all my stuff. I make some vlogs on technology. Like, this is where you could actually probably tell that I was getting into technology, because I was starting to output like a ton of tech videos. It was starting to become a bit less KSP based and a bit more like technology. Like, look at my cool stuff that I got. And then around, I'd say, the beginning of 7th grade. I don't remember if anything crazy happened over that summer, but I think around the beginning of 7th grade, one of my friends, he had come to me, and he was also really into technology, and he was like, yo, I have this iPhone 7 that we gotta fix. And I was like, oh, we are so screwed. Like, I've never fixed a phone. I've never even opened a phone before. First, we're gonna have to get supplies, because all of my tools are like really big, because they're meant for computers, like full-on desktops. So like, I don't have the parts for this. He's like, all right, that's fine. We'll give it a little bit. We'll buy the tools to work on it. And so we end up doing that. Like, we wait around for a bit. We end up getting some tools. I buy like a spudger set, some like smaller screwdrivers that were more built for doing this kind of stuff. And you know, that ends up being all good. We end up being completely fine from that. So then we go to work on it, and I mean, it definitely went very much wrong. Like, I think we completely fried the internal stuff, because we accidentally dumped like isopropyl alcohol on it almost completely. So it was almost completely fried, and you know, we didn't fix it in the end, but it was really good learning, because I figured out that some of these phones, they're really not that hard. Like, I think I could actually manage some of this stuff. And it also taught me how to actually start being careful with smaller stuff, because smaller stuff, it's a whole different level of difficulty. And then, also around that time, I got a 360 Fat. And that was where I really started to learn how to work on consoles. I learned that consoles work very differently. They work with a lot more things like clips, non-standard screw bits, you know, all this random crap that you gotta deal with. And, you know, a lot more compactness, like things fit together in a specific way, in a certain way that's like, it's designed to be like that. So, you know, that kind of completely screws me over after the 360 dies. So I absolutely hated that. Something I do realize about this summer is this summer I end up getting the GTX 1650 Super. At the time, amazing investment. Really good. Looking back on it, easily one of my biggest wastes of money that I could have ever made. It's not a very great graphics card, especially upgrading from a GT 1030. Yes, it looks amazing, but in the long run, it only has 4 gigs of VRAM, which nowadays is absolute garbage. Like right now, my two options of graphics cards are literally getting a RTX 2060 with 12 gigs of VRAM, or just straight up buying a 1080 Ti. Because a 1080 Ti has 11 gigs of VRAM, but it literally outperforms pretty much all of the entry-level RTX cards in most of the RTX mid-tier cards. I think it literally only falls to like, I think the only card it falls to is the 2080, and its other cards, the 3080, 3090, and like the 3070 Ti, and then like everything above the 47, and then everything above like the 4060. Pretty much everything that's below those, like the entry levels and most of the mid-tier cards of the 20s, of the 20, 30, and 40 tier cards, the 1080 Ti outperforms pretty much all of them. Now, sure, they're RTX cards. They have more, newer architecture. They have, smaller die size. They have DLSS, they have ray tracing. But in the long run, I'm not going to use ray tracing. That's literally something I don't think I'll ever end up using, especially since none of the games I play, with the exception of like Warzone or Fortnite, none of those other games use modern technology like whatsoever. BeamNG, yeah, it gets up there sometimes, but it's not using like ray tracing or DLSS. And even then, like, my problem with DLSS, those like super sampling things, like to get more frames, those are cool and all. But one, FSR is way better. Like, FSR is 10 times better. Like, AMD's cooking over there with FSR 1 and 3. That's good stuff. And two, I mean, I want raw performance. I don't want something that relies on AI to make more frames for it. Like, people are going off on the 5090 on how pretty much it's all just fake frames and how it actually doesn't run games natively that well. I want something that can run games that well without needing all this extra stuff. So that's why one of my biggest like things that I really would like to actually get for a new graphics card is literally just buying a 1080 Ti. Crazy VRAM for VRAM Hunger Games and editing and rendering and all that stuff. And it has the raw performance to play all the games I want. And it's cheaper. It's honestly cheaper than buying. I can pretty much buy whatever 1080 Ti I want for like $200 to $250 in good condition. I'd love to get the Founders Edition card just because how genuinely cool that card looks. Like, it's such an iconic card, and honestly, they're super available. Like, you can find tons of 1080 Ti's like that. But I know there's better versions. Like, one of the most optimal upgrades is to buy like the MSI version and get like a water block for it. But I'm not about to try to water cool my whole rig, especially doing a manual rig like that. Like, I'm already looking at just buying an AIO for my CPU, so I don't want to do a whole rig like that. And also, like, the upkeep on those things, I don't want to deal with that, if I'm gonna be honest. I don't really think I've got the time to like really focus that hard on the upkeep. So I need something that's like the best air cool performance I get. Although I would love to get a water cooling block for something like that. That would be so cool. Yeah, like I'd love to do all that stuff, but at the end I just kind of want to get like that. Like, I know there's a very specific EVGA 1080 Ti that's also really good. Like, it's a nice 3-fan card. It's like their FTW3 card, but like the 1080 Ti version, like how they have like the 3080 Ti, that's like insanely good, and it was their last card ever. But those cards are still infinitely expensive. Like, that'd be impossible for me to buy still. Although I'd love to buy one. Someday I want to buy one of those cards. Whether it's working or not, like, just to have that card would actually just be legendary. Especially since it's probably going to get pretty rare eventually, just because last EVGA graphics card pretty much ever. I don't know if they still make AMD cards. I don't look too much into AMD stuff. I do like AMD's stuff, but, like, I like to kind of keep my builds like kind of like diverse. Like, I have the AMD CPU. I don't really want to double up on an AMD graphics card, if I'm gonna be honest. And I like NVIDIA's cards more than I just simply do. Although, to be honest, if I had an AMD card, I'd probably be able to utilize FSR a bit better. So that is probably up there. But yeah, around this time, I start getting more work and more knowledge on things like, you know, fixing consoles, fixing phones. I don't know what really would have happened during that time. I don't think I got a lot of big stuff. I know I started working on smaller consoles like a 3DS XL that I got from another friend. I kind of fumbled with that console. Something I realized is the amount of parts that I had to put into it just ended up being more expensive than it would have been worth to fix. And when, you know, you're me and you don't really get money, that's just not worth it. So I kind of gave up on the build because I bought a new screen from iFixit, and the screen came torn. So, I love that. Yeah, I can't do anything about that. iFixit, I love you. That's the only thing I have against you, is just you sold me a ripped screen. Could have come from anything, to be honest. Even the box it came in was a little beat up, so that could have been it, but I don't know. And then also, what else really would have... I don't know if anything else would have been really happening around the time. Yeah, I think that's it for around that time. And then I know later on I started to get into more phone stuff. I remember summer that year, I started to do like a lot more recordings on my phone. Like I started to do a lot more like recording and like more stuff on technology. And I remember 7th grade, that's when I renamed the channel like the Hunter's Tech. I was like, you know what, no, I'm doing tech videos now. And then I got into iPods, and that was one of the biggest things I could have ever done, because that gave us the iPod Repair Bonanza, which is still like the biggest video to happen to this channel. Technically the biggest was, it came from the Xbox. That was one of the few things that the OG Xbox did give us, was the error video. Yay. So that was kind of fun. And I started to do more stuff on, like, you know, my actual stuff. Like I did like that one keyboard video. I might do one for my new keyboard that I have now, just seeing how good those tutorials seem to do. And then I started to save up, and I'm like, I kind of want to buy my own phone, because then I can work on it as much as I want without really feeling bad. If I break something, it's my fault. I don't need my parents going off on me. So originally going to buy an iPhone 6S, and then I found a killer deal on an iPhone 8. This is going into 8th grade now. Found a killer deal on an iPhone 8. I buy it, and I make a video on it, because literally all I need to do in theory was replace the battery. That's all I had to do. So, I get to work on that, and I had already broken an iPhone 8 in the past. I ordered one from a dude, and I fumbled. I used a spudger on the battery connector, and doing that shorts it. I used a metal spudger, and it killed the whole screen assembly. I would have needed a whole new board, a whole new everything, and I did not want to do that. So I bought another one for even cheaper. I bought it for $40. And I fixed it, and it ended up, you know, lasting for about a year and a half. Like, it put in good work. But simply, even at the time, the iPhone 8 wasn't the greatest phone. It was already unsupported by iOS, because iOS 17 had just, like, iOS 17 came out pretty much the day I fixed the phone. So it was only updated for about 4 days. So then I got this 13, but we'll get to the end of it. Now, that Christmas, I realized my parts are old, they're kind of crusty, I need to get some new stuff. So I asked for a new motherboard, a whole new CPU, some new RAM, because, you know, DDR4 now. Even though that's still outdated, it's just... I could have gone with a DDR5 using board, but I would have needed some way more newer stuff. And like some new cooler and a whole new bunch of stuff. I get those, and I didn't make a video on it, because this is about around the time where I kind of started to realize I don't need to make a video on everything I do. Sometimes I just kind of want to enjoy stuff. Like, sometimes I just kind of literally want to do something on my own. So I did that. Took me an hour or two. That's also why I didn't do it, because it just literally did take me forever to do it. And I mean, I got a really good build out of it. You know, my PC ran a lot better. I was able to do a lot more stuff. And that gets us into 2024. 2024, I don't know. Let me see what I did last year. Last year, I know in 2023 I got my own camera. I use it occasionally now. The main reason I haven't been using it is because I don't really have... I kind of lost all my high-capacity SD cards. Because now that I have my MacBook, which I'll also get into, it has a native SD card reader. So I want to get back into using my camera, but I simply just don't really have a lot of the stuff to work on, to use it very efficiently. it would be kind of a really long process. So until I can get a new SD card, I'm just gonna use my phone and just plug it in. I've gotten my PS2 for a while now. I had been working on those and kind of stuff, so I'd, mostly chill there. And then later that year, I got a Wii U from Jackson that I saved up for. And then, I got a bunch more acquisitions. Like, I got the Dell Optiplex. I just started to accumulate, like, a bunch of stuff, pretty much. Got a lot more tools. That was also super nice. I had a lot of controllers around this time. I was just collecting controllers at this point. It was kind of funny how many controllers I had. And then there's the fact that I have, like, the nuclear waste barrel of lithium-ion batteries. That crap is honestly so funny. Yeah, that's something I find funny. Like, I just have it all invested into just, like, a nuclear waste bin. I gotta find a place to get rid of lithium-ion batteries. So, yeah, someday I'll get rid of them. What else did I do? I know I did a lot more work on phones. I've been getting really good at working on phones. I got the 13 after I pretty much financed a 13 from my friend, and I had to put some upgrades into it. The phone has its flaws for sure. The Wi-Fi and Bluetooth are permanently dead because those are board level issues. And some of the connectors like to undo themselves, but I can live with it. I plan on buying like a Pixel, whatever the phone's going to be by the time that this thing gets unsupported or it finally, craps the bed. I got some more PC upgrades this last year. Got a new case. I actually got a better router. I used to have like an old 100 megabit max motherboard because I like networking. I'm into that stuff, so I like to actually have Ethernet and everything, especially when I have some consoles that literally only can use wired internet. So I have main thing in, and then it splits off into all my consoles and my PC and stuff. Then I've got some Wi-Fi for basic devices like my iPad or something. So I have now I have a gigabit thing, so I don't lose any so I don't have any loss, because it would be a gigabit Ethernet cable going into a 100 megabit connection, which yes, now that's reliable, but you kind of just want the speed and the power that you get from gigabit stuff. And also TP-Link routers are honestly not that bad. I kind of like them. I'd love to get a Netgear Nighthawk router, just because those are insanely good. But for now, my motherboard can only do gigabit stuff, so I don't really have a big reason why I should, I don't really have the biggest reason why I should get something more than a gigabit, because that's as fast as my PC can go. So a lot of just other stuff has been upgraded over the time. Yeah, I've got some more things planned up for this year, I know. Plan on trying to maybe get a new graphics card. I know the Switch 2 is coming out this year. Depending on when it comes out, and the fact that I'll be getting a job when I turn 16, I'm gonna sign up for a job when I turn 16, so I can start saving with some money. I'd love to try to buy a Switch 2. So, maybe expect that to happen this year. Cannot confirm, but I'd love to make it happen. If that can't happen, I think I'm also going to try to get the 1080 Ti sometime. I'll probably end up just thugging it out with the 1650 Super for maybe a year or two, but it's just 4 gigs of VRAM just really doesn't get you anywhere these days. You just can't do a lot with it. Warzone immediately maxes out the VRAM, no matter how optimized you make the settings. If you get it under, the cap, the game just by default looks like garbage. So it's quite hard to play it sometimes. Um, I might make an one on like music. So I know music has been more of a recent one to me, like in terms of sixth grade, like having to do a band, and I ended up really liking it. So I think I'll do music sometime, but that's for something else probably. I'll probably do another one on my love for cars, hinting by, I have a whole new car channel now. I haven't posted anything to it still because I just haven't made any car content, but once I get a car, I plan on doing videos on that, even though it's probably going to end up being like a Honda CRV. Like, I know that's what I really want. I want either a Chevy Impala or a CRV from the time period, so early 2000s. But I'll definitely make videos on that. So that's something that'll definitely be coming. BeamNG stuff, I might do some BeamNG streams, or I might try to do some of those like PB laps like I did on like Hirochi Raceway and all that stuff. Like I might try to do that there. And I'll probably do like car tutorials. I almost might like do like an off-brand Chris Fix. That's also one of my bigger inspirations of like cars. Like if I ever do a car video, definitely expect to see Chris Fix everywhere. Yeah, I think in terms of modern day, like I learned my stuff by just asking to get stuff. Like I just ask for like old crap from people, goof around with it. If I break it, darn, that sucks. Like like I just kind of acquire stuff, goof around with it, and I use that knowledge on stuff, or in times like where it actually matters. Like goof around with a broken phone where the stakes are low, boom, you gain some knowledge, and now you can utilize that on like an actual phone where it actually matters. And to this day, I've opened up the 13 a couple times, never broken it, never actually done anything bad to it yet. That could always change, but so far success rate 100%. Yay. For once. But yeah, I just kind of learned stuff through trial and error. Like I used to be really bad at working on computers. I know I would almost always break something when I get into those things. I barely even have to try to work on computers anymore, and I won't break anything. Like that's just kind of how it goes. You just kind of build up that experience, and I kind of hope that goes the same way with cars. Like, I mean, I don't want to break a bunch of stuff with the car. Like, I'm still gonna be really careful, especially since the stakes are way higher. But there's a bit more leeway because they are literally bigger parts. But yeah, like there's a lot more stuff to be careful about. So that's going to be something to look out for. But yeah, I hope some of my knowledge ends up translating over to cars. Because I've done so much more research and looking into cars before I've actually done it, before I was able to do with technology. Like technology, I didn't have that much knowledge when I first got into it. And I mean, like, I have other hobbies. Like, I love football and crap. Like, I really want the Bills to win the Super Bowl this year. Even though if it ends up being a Bills-Lions Super Bowl, I'm honestly alright with who wins that game. Because I kind of like to have, like, a favorite team of each division. I like the Lions in the NFC and the Bills in the AFC. Not just because, literally I live in Michigan, so by default I'm going to like the Lions. But also just, like, their story is kind of crazy. Like that's why I like the Bills and the Lions. Like their story of their past is just like it's crazy. And then you see what they're doing now. Like they're putting in really good work now to make strides towards the Super Bowl, and you just gotta kind of applaud them for that. Like they're putting really good work. So no matter who wins the Super Bowl this year, if it ends up being a Bills-Lions Super Bowl, I'm happy with whoever wins. It's just going to be harder to convince people if the Lions win that I'm alright with it because, I don't have Lions merchandise and I've only ever talked about the Bills being my favorite team. So that'd be a hard one to convince people of, but you just got to trust me, bro. But yeah, it's kind of funny. I still have my old tempered glass sheet from my old case, and I used to put so many stickers on that. Like if I ever got an Apple gift card, I'd always put the sticker on it. Still got a bunch of NASA stickers on it. I have a Waluigi sticker. Turtle Beach headphone sticker when I got my original Turtle Beach headphones. I'm always questioning if I'll ever go back to wearing headphones, but I don't want a headset dent because I am like a chronically on my computer person, and I don't really want to gain a giant headset dent. Although I do have very thick hair, so that could probably stop it. And then I have a bunch of Chiquita banana stickers, because why not? I'm wondering if I'll ever sticker bomb my new PC case, but for now it looks nice, so I'm not going to do anything to it. The tempered glass on my old case never really looked nice, so I never cared that badly about keeping it looking nice. I just threw stickers on it because it looked funny. Also, because I had a million Apple stickers lying around, so yeah, that's great. I know I've done some like tampering with like the MacBook. I do want to get into learning about Mac stuff because that stuff is also cool too. I feel like if you're gonna like technology as a whole, you gotta learn to like both sides. Like I have an iPhone, but I like Android more. Like when I originally had an Android phone, I was like, dang, this is doing too much. Like, I don't need all of this. Like, this is kind of useless. Especially when you have a Samsung phone. Even now, I still don't really like modern Samsung phones. They try too hard, and they throw way too much crap into their phones, and it makes them really slow, especially if you have a lower end version of that phone. And then I got an iPhone and I was like, oh dang, this is amazing. Like, it's a lot more simple. Like, I can just kind of get crap done and all that stuff. You get about a year into using iOS and then you go, I miss the fact that Android literally just felt like I was using a computer but on the go, but not like a laptop. Because I missed that. Like, most Android phones have easy micro SD support, so if you ever need to transfer files and crap, easy stuff. Most Android phones, pretty much all Android phones nowadays use USB-C, so easy stuff. Like if you have like a USB-C, like USB thumb drive, you can easily transfer that stuff. Like it's so easy. You don't got that advantage on most iPhones. Like they use USB-C now, but their file system kind of stinks. Like Android file system it's literally like Windows Explorer pretty much. Like that's how good it is. So I really want to get a Pixel sometime because with Google making Android, their phones tend to be the best Android phones just because simply they work the best. They get the most support. They get updates the soonest, and they're the least cluttered because they're not just throwing a bunch of crap on there for the most part. If we get a Firefox made Android phone, that would be peak. Even if I got a Pixel, I'd still uninstall Google and put Firefox on it. That's the dedication, man. But yeah, like it kind of goes with like Mac. Like, but the thing with Mac is I don't have really any reasons to hate Mac yet because like PC, like, it's really good for just doing anything. Like, you can quite literally do anything really well on these things. Mac, I feel, is really well work situated. Everything is really simple, but everything is straight to the point. Like, tells you where you need to go and you just get to it. So, like, working on stuff, like, you have your nice applications right there. You got your files. You got, your browser and whatever. Like, it's so simple. It makes it really easy and fast to just get work done. That's all I need, and it lets me do that. Like, that's all I asked out of it was that I could get some work done tonight, and it let me get some work done tonight. So, I appreciate it for that. So, yeah. That's why, like, I'd still very much like Mac OS. Because it's just a nice system, like, for getting, like, work done, being productive. So, yeah, I think that's, like, really all I've got for tonight. I mean, let me think. I don't really think I've got anything else. I mean, yeah, I don't think I've really got anything else tonight. I mean, if you guys have any questions, I guess just ask because, I mean, I've talked about really what I want to talk about. I know this one didn't end up being as long as a lot of them do get, Yeah, honestly, I think I've talked about what I wanted to talk about, mostly where I learned, how I learned how to do the stuff that I do, and how I plan to, like, apply that to other topics, like, cars and stuff, like, how I plan to, actually, like, apply stuff to cars, figure it all out, and, hope that it doesn't go poorly at all, because I don't really want it to go really poorly. I would like to have a better experience with that stuff. I don't need to accidentally break a car and then, be down thousands of dollars, because that'd be kind of, bad. But yeah, I think that's all about it. Check the community post on the channel, because, kind of big stuff going on there. I won't discuss it here. I'll save that for a short to probably be released later. But yeah, subscribe to the channel if you're not. Really trying to get to that next 100 milestone. I know we're still moving along very slowly on subs, but to be honest, that's really just because school kind of makes it so I really don't have time during the weekdays, and even then a lot of times during the weekends I don't really have a lot of stuff. Like, if I want to get a video made, I kind of have to do it the day of. Like, I gotta work on it, edit it, record it, and get it out that day. Like, a lot of times my video projects, they're not even a day long. Simply because I just don't have the time. Once I can maybe take some easier schedules, even though that's not going to happen until maybe senior year for me, I'll try to get some more stuff out. But for now, I plan on getting some more crap out just because simply, end of the year last year, I was honestly just kind of getting lazy. Just kind of like not really figuring out what to upload, so therefore I just kind of didn't upload. So, yeah, I plan to try not to let that happen again this year. I'm going to really work on videos, especially now that I got the MacBook, for a lot more productivity, because it still runs DaVinci Resolve and everything really well. So I plan on getting a bunch of content through that out. But yeah, hopefully if you guys, sub, we can bring in some more viewership, and, we could always use more viewership. I love you guys, but we need more people. Like, I don't want to settle for just you guys, even though you guys will still kind of just be the OGs. But yeah, subscribe, comment how you feel, and yeah, I'll be seeing you guys later in the next one.